Hello, YouTube. Welcome back to your Songwriting 101 with me, Cloudy Galvez. Now, today it's going to be a little bit shorter and sweeter. And the reason being is because you will have noticed we're not at our normal time today. Now, we usually have a regular schedule, but we've decided we're going to throw caution to the wind and just go live randomly. So if you're joining me, thank you for being a part of Songwriting 101. Today, we're going to be talking about rhyme schemes. Now, rhyme schemes, we touched on this before the Easter break, which, by the way, I hope everyone had a lovely Easter break. Sometimes you need that time to rest and recharge. I think Easter is a very good time to sync that up. Okay, so rhyme schemes. Within a song, a rhyme scheme basically is just telling you which lines are going to rhyme with each other and in what order. So the most common rhyme scheme that we have is called AABA. Now, if you came to the ones before the Easter break, we would have talked about this a little bit already, so don't worry too much. The AABA is the most regular, if you like, the most stereotypical rhyme scheme that we tend to hear in most modern music today. Okay, so A rhymes with A and B rhymes with B. So if we're going to put that into context, let me demonstrate with some random sentences. We're going to have, this is a line that came to my head. Now here's the rhyme, not this one instead. Do you catch that? Every alternate line was rhyming there. So we had A, B, A, B. That is pretty much how most pop music works at the moment. Well, not just pop. Pop seems very limited. That's how modern music works. Let's give it a big, wide umbrella. That's a very common rhyme scheme that we see quite a lot, especially in choruses and, well, in verses too. We shouldn't really roll that out. It's everywhere within modern music. Now, there is a few other alternatives that we can think about when we're looking at rhyme schemes, and another one that we see quite a lot, this is found a little bit more in verses, I think, but I mean, I'm sure there's examples of this being used in other places as well. Music is a massive world of imagination and materials endless out there, so I'm sure some of you guys can come back in with, you know, a different examples of this, but it's called AABA. Now, you can probably guess A is going to still rhyme with A, right? And then B, that's its own thing. So usually we double up on these. That's why I say they're very common in verses, because you'd have AABA, AABA, right? So AABA is one chunk, AABA as another chunk. And that can often look like two verses back to back next to each other. So that's why we see them in verses. Now, what does that sound like? It would be something like this. This rhymes in my mind. You know it does. It's a good time. That would be AABA. All of those line one, this rhymes in my mind. It's a good time. All those rhymed with each other. And then B was its own independent rhyme. Now, if we're going to stack that up against another one, we would have to have another lot of A things that rhyme with rhyme, mind, time, you know, that kind of I rhyme. And then we would have to have the B line that rhymes with does. So really what we're doing here is rhyming the vowel sound instead of rhyming things exactly. Because rhyme has an M, then we have mind, different consonants around the vowel, right? Time, they're all different consonants, but the vowel is the same, and that's why that's the rhyme that we're after here. So it's a very interesting thing. You don't have to have exact rhymes in your songs to make them good. You know, there's plenty of songs that don't rhyme at all, and they're still good. And in fact, actually, I think it's an interesting topic of discussion. Certainly, we were talking with Chris about this last time, about how sometimes for somebody who's beginning out in their writing journey, they're so focused on the pursuit of the rhyme And what I mean by that is they're so focused on making sure that all of their lyrics actually rhyme with each other that they forget about what's in the content. And so then that limits you from being super creative with it and really being open and letting those ideas flow. So it's a form of mental block, I think, that pursuit of the rhyme. So that's why it's really important to just try your best to get that away. And so this brings me really nicely to the final rhyme scheme I'm going to talk to you guys about today. And we're going to call this the X rhyme. And the reason that I call it that, and I'm getting excited already talking about it because this is the best one. I think it's the best one anyway. So it introduces this thing called X, right? And X means there is no rhyme. This thing is just by itself floating off around here. It's independent of everything else that you're going to come up with. And I think there's something so freeing about that, having a line there that's deliberately on its own in terms of the rhyme scheme. And so a great way to structure this into a verse would be X, A, X, A. That's how I like to do this. So to give you a bit of an example, we'd have X, this is a sentence. A, I like it here. X, I also like pasta. A, there's nothing to fear. So those two, I mean, it's just random sentences at this point. It's not real lyrics. It's just a clear demonstration for you guys so you can see how that works. Those two X's things, they had absolutely no bearing at all to anything. This is a sentence. I also like pasta. They don't rhyme with each other. They have no bearing to the other, the A rhyme that we had within that. And then the A rhyme, which was, I like it here. There's nothing to fear. That directly relates to each other. They rhyme, and they're the pair that we're talking about. And because that provides the flow, it doesn't matter about the other lines. And you don't have to have them at those intervals either. You can have X, 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 A, X, 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 A. You could have X, X, A, X, X, A. There's all sorts of different ways you can structure this. And I think just the inclusion of the X in the first place just gives you so much freedom and lets you say what you actually want to say. And then it becomes less about making it neat and tidy and having to fit into different songwriting boxes to tick, and more about you actually having some freedom to express yourself. So that's it on rhyme schemes from me today, you guys. I think what would be interesting is if we try and put this into context a little bit in our next session on Wednesday. Now, I can't promise you what time it's going to be. It's just going to be a random time. We're going to find out closer to the day. But I think we're just going to have a bit of fun with these lives and just kind of pop them on when we feel like it. So thank you so much for joining me today, you guys. I hope you've learned a little bit about rhyming and how sometimes it can be damaging, but oftentimes it can be fun. And I think that's the main thing I want you guys to take away from today, is that you take away the pressure of the rhyme, you take away the roadblock and the pressure to write something poetic. All right, then you guys have a lovely rest of your day, and I will see you again on Wednesday. Bye.